My main concern is that I'm going to get stuck in my own head and worried about what the end product is going to look like. I'll be doing the 2-week
bullet journaling challenge.
We'll be bullet journaling for
2 weeks to see how
our mental health improves. From what I understand, bullet journaling is a much more organizational form of journaling.
Bullet journaling has always been like a social media trend to me. It's just something that I've seen is really popular.
I'm hoping that bullet journaling will serve as a way to refine the tasks that I want to get done around the house on a daily basis.
I really always want to be working towards a goal and thinking about what's next. So I think that using my bullet journal to do some future planning could be really beneficial for me.
I'm actually really curious to see if this is going to bring some of that creative energy back into my life.
So today's challenge is that we are going to be doing a meal plan. I've honestly never done anything like this before, and I'm a little bit nervous just because I feel like it's a little bit rigid for me.
When I'm at the store and I'm looking at food, I know which foods I enjoy and I know which foods are healthy snacks. You can see the days of the week, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, along with all the things written, but with a few fun stencil images.
Meal planning was a little bit difficult. I ended up helping my mom prep some stuff that we were gonna freeze, and then we made some of the enchiladas for dinner, and so I'm gonna eat those throughout the week. So there was some meal prep planning involved. It is really strange to try to do that when I'm a guest in someone's house instead of in my own kitchen.
I was pleasantly surprised by the challenge just because writing out a list of ideas of what I wanted to make for each meal helped me plan exactly what I would need when I go back to the grocery store. And I feel like that way I'll go in, I'll get exactly what I need, less impulse buys, and even worse, I won't come home and then realize that I'm missing anything.
I have no choice but to be on top of my money. This monthly budget wasn't a mystery to me because I have a very high cost of living and I have to keep track of every penny in order to make it in this tough New York environment.
I actually have been pretty good at keeping to my own budget. I've been living on my own for years in New York City, so I feel like that's kind of forced me to be aware of what I'm spending my money on.
I hate budgeting, mainly because it's painful to see money go away. Even though I'm staying at my parents' house in Pennsylvania, I still have an apartment in New York City to pay for, so I will be looking at my monthly rent and utility bills today. It's fine.
I could kind of see where I might be able to save more.
Honestly, it was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I think I might actually use this method moving forward and, keeping a log of everything that I have.
Our challenge is to make a habit tracker. I was actually the most excited for this out of all of the challenges that we're going to do.
I normally work out a lot, but I'm suffering from shin splints, so I've always meant to make a workout plan that could work around my shin splints. And so for today's challenge, I chose to finally create my revised workout plan.
The habit tracker was a bit difficult for me today. It is the end of the workday, not exactly the end of the day. I feel like I did kind of a good job. This is kind of blank for now, but I'll fill it in.
I bought a water pick at the beginning of quarantine and I've been pretty good about using it, but I want to get myself to the point where I'm using it daily versus just, every few days. So I put that on there. I've only filled out a few things. I am really excited about it because I think that it'll help me kind of be more accountable to myself.
We are keeping track of our water intake. I figured out that it's about 4.5 of these bad boys. So I translated that into my bullet journal entry, and I'm going to color in each of these sections as I complete a bottle of water, and we'll see what happens.
I drew the little water bottle first, but then I divided it up into 8 sections for the arbitrary 8 glasses of water that one's supposed to have in a day.
I want to show you guys my favorite part of the water tracker. So obviously I'm going to fill out how many bottles of water I drink here. All the cool teens put stickers on their water bottles, so I decided to do that in my journal.
Every time I have a cup of water, I highlight the little section of the water tracker and write down what time I drink that cup of water next to it.
We are halfway through the challenge, and today we are tasked with creating a to-do list. I created a key so that I could keep up with it. Some of the things that you do within these checkbox that you put next to your tasks are put little symbols that can help you keep track of what you complete, what you need to move to a different day.
I'm done with my to-do list for the week and I'm feeling ready to take on my week. Sometimes when you're just thinking about all the things that you have to do, it could seem a bit overwhelming, but if you write it all out, it makes it seem more doable in my opinion.
So I'm keeping this here because even though it seems pretty simple, I'm used to just making standard to-do lists and I often forget all of the little elements that you can add to it.
I make to-do lists all the time. I think that making the to-do list when doing the bullet journaling is good for repetition. If I'm simply repeating things into the journal, then those are probably things that are more important and therefore things that I should keep trying to do or keep trying to make a priority in my everyday.
Today we're taking a break from our screens and spending some time with our bullet journal, just doodling for fun with no expectations of what it's supposed to look like.
I'm not usually a doodler, but when I am, I enjoy patterns. Doodling is something that I've always done a bit when I'm distracted. I'm someone that's very capable of doodling on a page while listening to a very long lecture or a very long meeting and still being able to take in all of the information that I need to.
After doing the challenge, I think I could have used a little bit more direction, which I could have come up with myself before starting. I basically felt like my mind was wandering a lot versus just like being focused on what I was doing.
My main concern is that I'm going to get stuck in my own head and worried about what the end product is going to look like and that I'm not going to have any fun with it. I would say that I would incorporate this into my daily routine and schedule because of how much I loved it, but I'm very fortunate to have a job that gives me that space to de-stress and not worry about all the other anxieties that do come with my job as well.
I find it easier when I think about gratitude to just think about the little things that make me feel like a human being every day.
I am going to sit outside today, and my one goal is to just enjoy the really nice weather and make at least a list of 20 things that I'm grateful for, but I'm gonna just let myself fill up the page.
It was a great exercise for me to be able to just stay a little bit more positive and think even if maybe not everything is going my way, there are definitely things that I have to be grateful for.
Well, it didn't help me feel less stressed out or anxious about the things that I typically feel. It did point out what I should be grateful for.
Today is the last day of our bullet journal challenge and we're going to be choosing our own tasks to do today.
The last activity was a trip itinerary. What's the one thing that I want to do the most that I can't do right now? And that's go on an all-out vacation and see a lot of wonderful sights and eat a lot of wonderful food.
I actually combined two of my favorite tasks from the entire challenge, which was day one's meal plan and the to-do list task, and I created a recipe list.
Yesterday when we did the gratitude challenge, I actually found another idea that really inspired me. So I'm gonna come up with a list where I basically write down, not necessarily like what I'm grateful for, but just the highlight of my day. So kind of like similar to gratitude, kind of different.
As you can tell from the trip itinerary, I just thought of a big excursion through South America. Of course, have to save a little bit for that. I just want to get out of the house.
Dinner was a huge success. It was so delicious. I made a peach pie because it's Freestone season and we're in PA, so we're near all the farms. Overall, it was an amazing day and I couldn't have asked for a better way to finish off this entire challenge than with this recipe list.
Yesterday I ended up having to work late and I was a little annoyed about it, but then after work I went on a really nice walk. I saw the sun setting over the water. So I wrote down seeing the sunset on my nightly walk, and when I first was leaving for my walk at that time, I thought it was like a bad thing that I was going out later, but it actually turned out to be positive, and I feel like the journal really helped me like remember that.
I just learned I need to slow down and try new things and realize that I can't build a city in a day.
I came into this I wouldn't say skeptical, but I'm someone who's never journaled before. I learned that you have all these thoughts causing so much weight that unless you write them down somewhere and decide what your priorities truly are, you're just going to be bogged down by the weight of feeling like you haven't accomplished anything. Once you get to writing down what you really want to get done, you realize that you shouldn't beat yourself up so much about the things you can't get done on a daily basis.
I really do think a lot of people's problems around anxiety and stress is that we don't take enough time for ourselves, and that doing these types of tasks like creating a gratitude list and creating a to-do list just so that you can see everything that you need to do and prioritize what you need to focus on can really help your mental health. And I think bullet journaling has proven that you can take that time to do that